Today we are changing strings on my cello. You need a pencil and you need, of course, your new strings. I like to start with the A string, the highest string, and go down to the C string just because then I know where I am, what I'm doing. So loosen it. It's pretty straightforward. When you have loosened it enough, you can just take it out. It's usually easier than it was for me right there. Yeah, just like that. And then I like to wipe the fingerboard just because it's all exposed. This is not something you have to do. I just like doing it. I like cleaning. And with the pencil, you apply it on the bridge and up by the nut as well, the places where the string will be gnawing into the material, and it's to minimize friction. Take your new A string out and you stick it through the hole in the tuning peg, just so that a little bit of it sticks out on the other side. And then it will take some time to get used to, but try to have some string on both sides of that hole in the tuning peg. Also, down at the tail piece, you can just take a look at the other strings next to it if you're in any way in doubt of where to place it. But yeah, there's only one place to actually place it, down there. And then I tune it up just so that it's stable. I don't take it all the way up yet, but I don't want the bridge to loosen up completely. And I keep the U strings. I roll it up if I manage, and I put it in the envelope that the new string came in, because spare strings can come in handy for yourself if something happens, but also especially if you are teaching and lots of students come with cellos and suddenly a string can break. And I write used on it, just so I know that. And that's the procedure, actually. So if you got it, you don't have to watch the rest of the video. I'm just gonna repeat the process on the other 3 strings. So now the D string, same thing, loosen it, take it off, then I wipe the fingerboard. And I apply some pencil, carbon. Apply carbon to your instrument. Yeah, it looks like I do it a lot, but down at the bridge it just can be a little hard to kind of hit. It's such a small area to hit with with the pencil. And then take the new D string, hallelujah, out of its envelope, and then you can start by putting it through the hole in the tuning peg so that a couple of millimeters or so sticks out on the other side. Up there by the D string, that's where there is the least space for the string, so try to place the string on both sides of where you put the string through the hole. And then just put it in. That's all you have to do. And then I bring the D string up to approximately a 1/5 below the A, so that I keep the right interval, but yeah, they're not yet nearly where I want the strings to be finally. Yeah, halfway, have a drink, hydrate yourself. And then move on to the G string. And keep the used string. So I do that in between strings just so I know which string goes into which envelope, because they can look quite similar. The A and C might be thin and thick, but it can be hard to actually see if a string is a D string or a G string. So stay organized and then loosen the G string. I do this roughly once a year, or ideally once a year, but it's expensive, these strings, and I bought expensive strings as well. I had tried some cheaper strings, but I missed the Pirazzi strings so much. So this time, well, first of all, I stretched my limit, so to say. I had been playing on these strings for quite some time to kind of compensate for how much the strings cost, and then I ordered, I think, my favorite strings for this cello anyway, the Eva Pirazzi. So I'm really looking forward to practice now. In the beginning they sound quite raw, but give it a week or two depending on how much you practice and they will sound gorgeous and they will sound great for a year or so. Sometimes it also varies from string to string. I know some cellists like to change the A string several times a year, because that's often the first string. You can you hear a difference after some time and you miss the how it can sound optimally, but I don't do that. That's too, yeah, it's too expensive. So I usually change all my strings at the same time, once a year, or I see if I can manage a bit longer. So that's it. One string left. I remember I was 15 years old when my teacher first said to me, "Oh, you can do that yourself, you can change the strings yourself," and I felt surprised. I imagined it would be this really challenging thing to do, but actually it's not so difficult. You can do it yourself. It takes some time to get used to just get used to it, but if you start doing it, yeah, it's gonna go well pretty quickly. And you will get used to also how much string to place on each side of the hole in the tuning peg. You don't want too much string to put pressure on the inside of the peg box. Yeah, and this varies from cello to cello as well, so you will get to know your cello, and as you place it down there, make sure it's also placed on the bridge before you tighten it. Otherwise you tighten it and the string is somewhere under the bridge. And then I have 4 new strings, all out of tune but in place. So what remains is to tune them carefully, 1 by 1 millimeter at a time. Press in as you press up, and that's it.